I always knew I was different. Not in a special or desirable way, but in a way that most people never saw me as. The youngest of my 4 siblings, the one who never caused any problems, the one who didn't need anything. My siblings, they were the stars of the family drama. My older brother Ethan was the golden child, who could do no wrong until he dropped out of college and got drunk. Claire always played the victimized sister, always ending up in some hospital with some inexplicable illness. Then there was the rebel, Liam, who spent most of his time away from home in juvenile detention. Me, I was there. The kid who stayed out of the spotlight, didn't ask for much, and always got less. My parents spent most of their time solving their own problems. So, they barely noticed me. I learned to be self-sufficient early on. I cooked my own meals, did my own laundry, and had fun with friends who were just as neglected as I was. That was enough for me, and easy. I didn't have to mend the broken pieces of my family. My friendships were with books, video games, and my small circle of friends who understood the nature of neglect. I was okay. Or at least that's what I thought. On my 18th birthday, I left home and never looked back. I not only left the city but also the country, got a job there, and made my own life. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. I didn't talk much to my family. My mom would text me every now and then, just to ask how I was doing, but it was always superficial. There was no real conversation. No real connection. I didn't expect more. I had long accepted that I was the forgotten child, who didn't matter. So, it was a big surprise to me when I got a call from them last year. They never called me. Never called me. I stared at my phone for a minute before answering. My heart was pounding in my chest. I felt like something was wrong. "Olivia," he said, his voice gruff and unfamiliar. "We need to talk." I braced myself for the worst. Had something happened to Ethan? Was Claire in the hospital again? I couldn't think of much else. "Your grandfather has passed away," he said bluntly. "And you've been declared the sole heir to his estate." I almost dropped the phone. My grandfather? A man I'd probably met a few times in my life. A man who barely acknowledged my existence. Had he left me everything? "What do you mean, everything?" I asked, my voice shaking. "The house, the money, the business," my father said, as if it were the most ordinary thing in the world. "It's all yours." I didn't know what to say. My mind was racing. Why me? Why not my father or one of my siblings? Why the child who had been neglected all his life? "But they have one condition," my father continued, as if reading my mind. "The will says you have to move here and take care of the family, or the property will be given to charity." I felt like I had been punched in the gut. Taking care of the family? The same family that had never taken care of me? The same family that had made me feel after thinking about it all my life? I think I'll have to think about it. My mind was racing. "You don't have much time," Dad said sharply. "We're counting on you." I hung up the phone and sat there in silence. My grandfather had millions in his name, life-changing money. But at what cost? Did I really want to give up the life I'd worked so hard to build? Did I build this life to go back and take care of people who never cared about me? The next few days were spent in this agony. I talked to my friends, all of whom had different opinions. Some suggested taking the money and running away, while others insisted that I tell my family to go to hell. However, deep down, I knew what I had to do. I called Dad to tell him I would come home. It wasn't about the money, nor was it about my family, but for me to show that I was no longer just a neglected child or a hidden. They need to know I can take care of myself. And maybe them too. Moving back home was harder than I thought it would be. The family was as dysfunctional as I remembered, if not more so. Ethan was still struggling with addiction, Claire was still in and out of the clinic, and Liam was still a nuisance to everyone. My parents felt overwhelmed, and they made it clear to me that they didn't think I could handle it all. But I wasn't going to let their doubts get in the way. I took care of the estate, ran it, and took care of everyone. It wasn't easy, and I thought about quitting and going back many times, but I kept going. I wasn't doing it for them, I was doing it for me. Changes were beginning to manifest. The family began to see me through different lenses. They finally realized that I was no longer the quiet, hidden child. I was strong, capable, and determined. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I mattered to them. Finally, I had not only inherited a fortune, I had also inherited a sense of purpose and a sense of belonging. And that was worth more than a lot of money.